The famous Labubu dolls. You can't escape them. Everywhere you look, you see their creepy little faces everywhere. So some people are questioning whether the famous Labubu dolls are demonic. And in more peaceful and good news, 1 million young pilgrims were present for the Jubilee of Youth last week.
Several months later.
Let's talk about it. Okay guys, so the Labubu dolls, the famous Labubu dolls, you've seen them everywhere. I've seen them all over my social media, walking around, just trying to get to the store, pumping gas. Saw some commentary on mostly within the Christian community about like them being demonic. And I tend to be a little bit careful there because I know some Christians, we get like a bad rap about like making everything's demonic. And we saw this with like Harry Potter. And I tend to agree with Trent Horn's take on this. He has a video talking about Harry Potter. And I think it depends a lot on what you make of it. And I used Harry Potter as an example here. So with Harry Potter, I grew up with the books and the movies, and I never really paid attention to the witchcraft side of it. It was just another world to me, and I knew it was an imaginary fake world. Similar to like Lord of the Rings, I knew there's no elves in real life, but I knew it was just another world. It was just the setting for the plot, but it wasn't the plot. What I took away from Harry Potter was more of the storyline. I really appreciated the sacrificial element of it. So, sacrificing one's life to save family or friends and to do the right thing, even if it's hard. And I also always really like underdog stories. So I just like that about Harry and that he was kind of an underdog in the situation. And his own weakness ended up being his strength. Those were the elements I got from it, but I understand that some people may get something else out of it. Maybe from watching Harry Potter, they were more fascinated with the witchcraft side of it and things that were just more, in my mind, details and kind of like decorations, but not really the plot. And somehow I get it. Some people fixate on the wrong thing. So that's why I think it's important to use discernment, and because really that can apply to anything and everything. So we know anything can be made into an idol. I just think this requires a lot of discernment, and it requires you to be prudent. So that would be, I think, semi-applicable to the Labubu dolls. That was until people mentioned to me, look into the history of the Labubu dolls. And, it's kind of crazy because I don't want to dismiss like, oh, it's just like, who cares if it has like a dark history? Because that's not really the case. We've seen this with fashion designers. Even I plan on making a video on this actually about just different fashion designers that have a really dark history. And it's kind of crazy how they built this fashion empire off of people and situations that were horrible. So obviously I don't mean to dismiss that. It's kind of near to impossible to do a deep dive into everything that's in my house. Now, because people kept mentioning it, I decided to look into it. So let's start off with, what are Labubu dolls? This is the Labubu doll. It's got this mischievous looking, kind of creepy in my opinion, face. And it looks totally harmless other than that. But basically people just wear it around on their purses. It's gone viral. It's super trendy. A lot of celebrities, including K-pop stars, wear them everywhere. Now everyone wants them. And it was created by this guy, Sing Lung, who was inspired by Nordic folktale. And there's something else that was very interesting. I saw something mentioned about there being like a Simpsons episode, and there's a doll that Homer has, and it's called the Pazuzu doll. Now, guys, that's kind of creepy. Pazuzu, Labubu. I don't know if that's a coincidence. I don't believe in coincidences, so let's just go with that. It is a little odd, and the doll in the Simpsons episode is essentially a demonic doll. And I mean, what are the odds that the names are the same, very similar? I did think that was, and The Simpsons specifically is also known to have these really weird, almost like prophetic type of episodes where like just they'll have an episode and then years later we'll actually see it in reality. I really hope that's not the case, but like I said, I also understand that evil works in our world and I have to be careful. The other thing too is the creator of the Labubu dolls. He was inspired by Nordic folklore. I do think that is, I guess it could be concerning because a lot of ancient, it involves a lot of ancient gods and goddesses that obviously aren't real, and in a way, he could have had some type of twisted meaning behind it. I don't know. I also don't want to make an assumption of someone that I don't know. I don't have any evidence for that. So I don't want to go ahead and say that. It could just be that he's just a fan of Nordic folklore. But as a Catholic, as a Christian myself, I tend to lean on being prudent and just, I mean, growing up as a young girl, I had dolls. I played with dolls, and um none of them, I never saw them as anything evil. I never even looked at them at that, in that way. There was one doll in particular that I remember one of the eyes was kind of like not functioning properly, so it used to creep me out, and I ended up getting rid of the doll. And I think even now as an adult, I would do the same thing. I think as a kid I had that, I listened to my gut feeling and I got rid of the doll. It could be wrong. Maybe it was just silly of me to get rid of the doll, but it just made me feel better and safer. So why not? I don't have to keep the doll. Also, just to be careful about what you bring into your home. So aside from the Labubu dolls, that goes for being careful about the types of movies, the music you bring into your home, the type of games you bring into your home, the type of people you bring into your home. There are some people who you really shouldn't have in your house. You don't want to expose your home to some type of evil or negative energy. And it may be hard to always know what's good and what's wrong, or what's good and what's evil. So I think pray about it and let the Holy Spirit lead you in this, and have discernment and be prudent. These are one of those cases where I think it's just best to be risk averse and just to be careful and not take any chances, is what I'm saying. But my own personal opinion on these Labubu dolls is that they do look creepy, but I personally do know people who have them, and it's purely, I doubt they even know the history, or they even know the creator of the Labubu dolls. They just think it looks cute on their purse, and they, for whatever reason, find them to be cute. I think it's okay to question this, and I think it's okay to just not have it in your house. Okay, guys, on to some more lighter and peaceful news, the Jubilee of Youth. Okay, so for those of you who don't know, Jubilee takes place every 25 years in the Catholic Church, and there's usually a theme involved. So this year's theme is Hope, Pilgrimage of Hope, and it's for the entire year. So now specifically, I'm talking about the Jubilee of Youth. So the particular days between July 28th and August 3rd were dedicated to the youth. It's kind of like a World Youth Day in a way. And different events take place, and Pope Leo comes out and does different prayers and mass services, and he speaks with the young crowd. It's very, very cool, and I'm not gonna lie, I had a little bit of FOMO seeing all the videos. I really, really wanted to be there, but I'm very grateful because I did do a pilgrimage for Jubilee in May, so only a few months ago, and it was great. It was awesome and amazing, and I'm so happy for everyone who could be there. Really, the theme of hope was incredible because we need a lot of hope, especially with everything that's going on in the world. And even like on a smaller level, like just me, little old me, wandering this big world, I'm in the stage where I really crave more friendships, more a Christian Catholic community around me, and sometimes I struggle with finding it. And even within that community, it's not like just because you're Christian or just because you're Catholic, we can be good friends. There's more than that. It's just kind of, it's just been a little bit difficult for me to navigate, at least recently, and to see millions of young people gathered for this great event. It was incredible. And just to see their fire for Jesus, it was amazing. And I'm like, oh, I wish I was there. Like, there's my people. But again, I'm very grateful I was able to go in May. It was just very cool and a nice reminder of hope. So that was really nice. And honestly, my favorite part about the entire event was just seeing how many young people from all over the world. Normally, you're used to seeing like older people, nothing wrong with the older crowd. It's just really nice to see other young people who are on fire for Jesus, plain and simple, right? And it was crazy. Like people from Syria, people from Japan, people from Brazil, Mexico, coming together. And it was like suddenly the lines of different cultures and different languages were blurred, and suddenly everybody was just meshed together into one church. And that was just beautiful. And it was incredible to watch. So anyways, I did explain what the Jubilee is for those of you who don't know. But specifically, I think it was on August 2nd, 3rd, there was a vigil service. So it was really cool. This is where they showed, if you do know about this, there was a video showing millions of kids, young people. And you could see Pope Leo arriving by helicopter, and he drives his Pope Mobile as the sun set. It was like a movie. And then he carried the pilgrim cross of the Jubilee of Hope on foot up to the stage where there was Eucharistic adoration. So that was beautiful, and it was nice because Pope Leo also got to answer questions from young adults about friendships and loneliness and making good choices and how to have a true encounter with Christ. And it was interesting too. I didn't know this part, but there was basically like an outdoor, like an overnight slumber party and morning mass presided over by Pope Leo. So I thought that was really cool. But in a nutshell, for those of you who are a little confused on what it is, basically just a World Youth Day for young Catholic pilgrims or anyone, any Christian. And yeah, I'm like, oh, I'll go to the next one. And thought about it. And I was like, oh my gosh, I'm going to be like 55 years old for the next one. So won't be young anymore, but still, it was really cool to at least have gone during Jubilee year, and in a way, I was there in spirit. Anyways, that's it for now, guys. I hope you enjoyed this video, and I purposely left the good news for the end so that you wouldn't leave this video feeling creeped out or like, oh my gosh, what's going on in the world? Because usually that's the conversations going on, and it's the end of the world and it's Jesus' second coming. Yes, Jesus will have a second coming, but like he said, he will come like a thief in the night, so we won't know when and where. So it's just best to be prepared, to have hope and faith, and to use discernment in the meantime and be prudent, and just to be led by the Holy Spirit. So just don't fear, guys. Don't have any fear, have hope. And that is the theme of this year anyways, to be hopeful, and hopefully this video did that. All right, see you guys next time.